Okay, so I shall try to present our playbook increment, but it's probably just a highlight of it. Just want to check, has anyone taken a look at our data playbook increment on yesterday's weather and interrupt uh, pattern? Maybe a thumbs up in Zoom. Anyone? Oh, okay. Thanks, Jason. Okay, I think our own team probably doesn't count. Okay, so probably anyone? Anyone else? Probably not a lot. Um, okay, so this is quite kind of expected based on our previous experience. That's why previously what we did is we just present the Word document, which is quite boring and dry. So for now, we try to uh, extract the highlights, the key points of our documents. But it probably won't do justice as well. You probably have to, I think, for more depth, more details, you have to go through the document itself. And so during my presentation of key highlights, we can answer questions that we feel that we can have quick answers to. If we do, you'll be covered in the next session. We can ask questions, and if we feel that oh yeah, this needs more a little bit more discussion, we probably put it in our question list. Yeah, one of us will consolidate, and you can also put your questions in the chat. Yeah, so that we can go through this fast. And I think the interesting part will be the next session when we have sharing, and yeah, we have a sharing session on yesterday's weather's interrupt pattern. Okay, so yesterday's weather and interrupt pattern, these are two Scrum patterns. So why are we doing them together? So I think a bit of recap. I don't think most of you are new. I don't think you attended our previous session when we talked more detail about these two yesterday's weather, these two Scrum patterns, yesterday's weather interrupt pattern. So basically, I'll be giving a bit of recap on what is yesterday's weather. So basically, yesterday's weather in Scrum, teams use previous sprints to estimate how much work they can deliver in the upcoming sprint. So basically, using historical data, empirical through experience, yeah, empiricism to determine how much work you can deliver in the coming sprint. So this gives a bit of a bit of predictability, because I think there's a joke that in Agile you cannot it's up to the team. You cannot forecast, you cannot predict, you cannot plan what you can deliver in coming sprint. So that's a very basic fallacy of Agile. So you can also have tight deadlines and and such. And then I'll move on to interrupt pattern. So due to the fact that in Scrum, each sprint is time boxed. So, and there's always changing priorities, even within the sprint. I'm actually currently working in COVID systems operations for the government. So every day we have changes just because of the number of cases that we have, or because of you have a new cluster somewhere, or we miss out some gaps. So that's it's a pretty fun, but for that we allocate quite a hefty buffer of it started with 50%, then I think it's reducing it to 30%. Considering the situation is stable, but we never know. Yeah, so you need to have this buffer. Otherwise, okay, why do you have all this, right? Yesterday's weather or what? It's because you do not want the team to burn out. I think that's one of the key reasons. Yeah, so you would like to have a sustainable planning to plan for the future. So how does it tie with yesterday's weather? So how do you predict how much buffer to plan? Usually we'll use yesterday's weather to see, oh yeah, so yeah, we didn't manage to complete this because we did some urgent tasks, urgent release, hot fixes. Yeah, that's why this data will be used to plan how much interrupt pattern that we need for upcoming sprint. Okay, I pause for a while. Is there any questions from anyone about these two patterns? Are you all clear about these two patterns, Scrum pattern, and the purpose? Okay, okay, good. Then I'll move on. Okay, so now that we identified, actually this was voted on by the previous community. Uh, we identified like what is this, and sort of know why is this important. So what's the challenges that's stopping us from executing this? So I move on to this. So this is where our team started to. We have this increment team. We started to have a lot of discussions and started to do brainstorming, and also with the help of the previous community who help us with what are the challenges and what. So if it's so good, why is it so difficult to execute this? What are the challenges that prevents us from executing this? So the first one is unstable team composition. So it can unstable team composition can mean that people have varying level of skills. So there might be one guy that has this niche skill. Maybe this guy who knows how to do uh, database, or yeah, or this guy who just know this Golang language, for example. Yeah, so this causes a unstable team composition, and that will affect the predictability of predicting future sprints, because if this person goes on leave, we'll be in trouble. And not only that, unstable team composition also refers to the fact that team members, they keep changing. So you don't have a fixed team, so that will definitely affect the. So even if you look at previous sprints, the future is not so predictable, because the previous sprints are made out of all different sets of people. And the next point will be low level of trust within team. I hope I'm not offending anyone with this picture. Yeah, so basically this is to show, good to see, Jason. This is to, I think this is very obvious, the body language. It shows that there's absolutely no trust within the team. Each team member, they have their own agenda, but I think they feel to see that if they work together, they will achieve more than what they could do individually. Yeah. So this is the second point that the team has identified. And then lastly, obviously, I think this is everybody's favorite, interference from management. Yeah, so one thing is, yeah, management, maybe I'm not sure why, there are some, especially Asian management, they tend to want to have a bit of control. Uh, they want to play a more decision making, even though the team is perfectly well equipped and capable to make decisions on their own. So yeah, so interference from management. So the management try to interfere with the prediction, how much the work the team can do, try to overload the team, for example. Okay, any quick questions from here? You can feel free to post your question in the chat. Yeah, so that we can discuss in depth later. Okay, if not, then I move on. So for each of the challenges that we face, the team, we try to summarize the key points of our recommendations. So first, we try to have dedicated full-time team members, not part-time, or like this person doing half in this project and 50%. That doesn't work that way. You get more out of making them full-time, even for a while, a couple of sprints. You get more out of it. So our next recommendation would be onboarding for newcomers. So basically, we need to have a way to onboard newcomers into this capacity, yesterday's weather and terra buffer, so that eventually we have a plan to align the team to have a common momentum, to a stable kind of velocity. Lastly, we use data. One of the recommendations is to use data-driven planning. So we can use capacity planning, for example. So there are a lot of capacity planning sheets. So we can take note of the buffer, our previous iterations, and how many people on leave, on sick leave, for example. Yeah, so these are the recommendations that we have to cater for unstable team composition. Are there any questions? Quick questions on this?
I think there are a few questions on the chat already.
Okay, then I think we'll put it in our
Yeah.
Miro board later. Okay, sure. Then I'll move on. So to address lack of trust within team, we can have team bonding activities, coffee break, virtual coffee break. I guess most of us are still working from home. I'm not too sure. I was working in office until there was some outbreak in Singapore. Then I have to go back to working from home. So there's things like Zoom fatigue, all these things. So one of the things I did as a Scrum Master is actually organize online team bonding. I bought this game Jackbox, and then we have quite a lot of fun with it. Yeah, so we have games online, Jackbox.tv. Yeah. So yeah, if you join us, you join our Scrum team for the next iteration. Yeah, our first session will be a team bonding. So yeah.
I'd join your team just to play Jackbox.
Session, yeah.
That's a promotional thing.
I actually play that game every week with my friends. Sorry, I don't mean to distract from your presentation.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so Jackbox is pretty interesting. It's definitely fun for my team. And the next thing will be, I think this is mainly for Scrum Master roles. You need to block your team from all the distractions. Especially I'm working for government, and you know that I'm not sure about at least Singapore government. Although I think they are okay. Yeah, there's a lot of distractions. Definitely, because I think during the COVID situation, I'm working in COVID systems. There are a lot of requests from everybody. Yeah, from different ministries or these things. So I have to triage and try to block most of the requests. I just want to make sure my team focus on development and delivering their sprint goal and product goal. So you also need to make sure that they are free to speak out. Yeah, without any fear. Yeah, open communication. Lastly is to create an environment. Yeah, so where the team can just the team can see all the information, or the team can approach anyone, I think, to communicate. Yeah, and without any fear. Yeah, so that's the thing. You need to create a transparent, open environment. So when you're working from home, for example, I also use Jira. I think you can everything. If you document everything in Jira, then I think they will feel the yeah. So they will feel the I don't want to say how to say it, the trust that everything that you can see is from Jira. Yeah. Okay. So then for the last portion, the last challenge, interference for management. Okay. So this is a bit challenging, a bit more challenging. So I think the first thing you have to engage the management on the purpose. Why are we doing this? Okay, so we need to do certain kind of coaching, and it depends on your management. You have to know their what do they want, and what's their style. And then you engage the management to gain their trust. So you invite them to your sprint reviews. You show that maybe you show early success. Yeah, so that the management can see, and then they will start to gain your trust. And the last part will be something very interesting, create Obeya. So these are information radiators. So instead of having meetings to update management, I think the management can come in anytime to not just a physical room. I think the context that we are working from home most of the time. It's also when we have maybe a certain conference or Jira where they can actually log in and then just look at the team progress and what are the challenges they are facing, what are the impediments. So basically, impediments is one of the key things. So if they can look at what are the impediments, then I think it will help them resolve issues quickly. So all these are to minimize interference from unnecessary interference from management. And yeah, I pause for a while if there's any question on this. So yes.
We have a question about never heard of Obeya before.
Yeah. So Obeya means big room.
It's a Japanese term.
So
And
I figured it was an Asian term that I wasn't familiar with. Sorry for the ignorance.
yeah, it's in the lean world, and it's coming from lean manufacturing, not even before the agile. It's literally just saying O means big and Beya or Heya is room. And you have all the information there and all the people that has the access and should know the access to this information can go in physically. That's the implementation of Obeya. I hope that answers the question, because it's
absolutely for me. We would call it the war room.
Yeah, it's war room in US. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Aloysius.
Yeah. So I take an example of what I did in Continental is we have this metrics dashboard, for the dashboard to view. So this is something like a virtual Obeya. So it's at a large solution level. So that's like a few hundred people kind of teams. So we have like 20 over Scrum teams. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if no questions, I'll just move on. So these are just some of the highlights of our recommendation. I think you want to find out more, you probably have to read the documentation. And our documentation probably won't cover all. It's just a beta. Definitely can be improved. But I think this is just to address the 3 key challenges that we identified based on our brainstorming sessions, weekly brainstorming sessions. Okay, so let's say you get the go-ahead to implement yesterday's weather and interrupt buffer Scrum pattern. So what's next? How do you know that you're progressing? So for that, our team has actually identified these 8 questions. So you can take it that for each question you have a scale of 1 to 5. 5 is totally agree for each question. So if your answers are close to 5 on average, then I think you're on the right track. And I think you can tell that your team is actually doing, it's improving. Yeah, it's getting better. So example, help my team to be more productive and effective. And I think there's a happiness metrics. I think we must always bear in mind. Yeah, that the team must be happy, enjoying themselves.